If World War III starts tomorrow, most of the food in your kitchen will become useless. Therefore, there are 12 foods that require no cooking that you should have ready at home. Because in a real crisis, the first thing many families realize is that most of the food in their kitchen needs to be cooked. But if the power goes out, if gas is disrupted, or if you simply cannot use a stove, then foods that can be eaten immediately become extremely important. In today's list, there are very familiar foods that may be sitting right on the supermarket shelves you pass every week. But when prepared the right way, they can become a source of energy that helps you get through the hardest days. And especially number 7 on this list is something many people often overlook. But in an emergency situation, it can become one of the most useful foods for maintaining energy. 12. Tuna or salmon in pouches in many emergency situations. Most people often think about storing as many calories as possible. But there is another factor that is just as important: protein. When the body is under prolonged stress, lack of sleep, lack of food, or constant movement, it can begin to draw energy from its own muscle mass. Therefore, adding protein during such periods helps the body maintain strength and more stable function. That is why tuna or salmon in pouches often appears on many emergency food lists. A small pouch of fish usually provides about 16 to 20 grams of protein, almost equivalent to the amount of protein found in 2 to 3 eggs. For a food that can be eaten immediately without preparation, this is a fairly significant source of nutrition. Salmon in particular also provides omega-3, a type of fat that is beneficial for heart health and brain function. When the body is under stress or lacking sleep, nutrients like these can help you maintain alertness and the ability to concentrate. What makes this type of food especially useful lies in its convenience. You do not need to prepare tools, you do not need to heat it, and you do not have to spend time cooking. Just tear the package open and you can eat it immediately. During times when everything around you becomes chaotic, power outages, major storms, or having to leave home quickly, the ability to access food instantly like this can make a very big difference. One small but very practical detail is that pouches are often more convenient than cans. In normal life, opening a metal can is very simple because we always have a can opener in the kitchen. But in an unexpected situation, when you have to leave in a hurry, or when familiar tools are no longer nearby, a sealed can can sometimes become an obstacle. Many people who have experienced long power outages realized that they had plenty of food in the kitchen, but no way to open it. Fish pouches today are usually designed with a tear strip so you can open them in just a few seconds. They are also lighter, take up less space in a backpack or storage cabinet, and do not create sharp metal edges after opening. That is why many people who prepare for emergencies often keep quite a few small pouches in their food storage. However, fish in pouches still only solves part of the problem. In a prolonged crisis, the body does not only need protein, but also needs a quick source of energy that is easy to consume, especially when you have almost no time to prepare a meal. And that is exactly when the next food on this list becomes extremely useful, a food that many people even call emergency fuel for the body. What foods does your family usually store for emergency situations? 11. Peanut butter in most survival food lists. There is one item that almost always appears near the top. Not because it is rare, and not because it is expensive, but because it is extremely effective in emergency situations. That is peanut butter. Just 2 tablespoons of peanut butter can provide nearly 200 calories, and a standard jar often contains more than 2,000 calories, almost equal to the amount of energy an adult needs for an entire day. That is why many people in the emergency preparedness community always keep a few jars at home. But what makes peanut butter useful is not only its high calorie content. It also provides fat, protein, and a moderate amount of carbohydrates, helping the body maintain steady energy for many hours. In normal life, we may not think much about this. But when the power is cut, the stove does not work, or you simply cannot cook foods that require preparation, become difficult to use immediately. Peanut butter is different. It requires no cooking, no water, and no preparation. Just open the lid and you can eat it right away. There is also a psychological factor that many people often do not think about. In highly stressful situations such as prolonged power outages, natural disasters, or social instability, the body often releases adrenaline and reduces appetite. Many people then do not want to eat foods that are too dry, too hard, or too complicated. Peanut butter, on the other hand, is quite easy to eat soft and does not have an overly strong smell. Even when you are not truly hungry, a few small spoonfuls can still help the body receive the energy it needs to keep functioning. In addition, peanut butter is also very flexible. You can eat it directly with a spoon, spread it on crackers, or combine it with tortillas to create a simple meal. That is why many emergency preparedness experts often recommend that each person should store at least 3 to 4 jars at home. They do not take up much space, do not require complicated storage, but can become a reliable source of energy when everything around you begins to become unstable. If you could only bring one type of food with you, which one would you choose? 10. Crackers. Many people often see crackers as just a simple snack. But in difficult situations, this small food can play a surprisingly important role. It helps turn separate foods into a more complete meal. Imagine you only have a pouch of tuna. You can eat it directly, but it feels more like a quick temporary bite. However, when you place the tuna on a few crackers, everything immediately changes. It starts to feel more like a real meal. This may sound like a small detail, but during long, stressful periods, familiar eating experiences can help keep morale much more stable. That is why crackers often appear on many food storage lists. They act like the base of a meal, allowing you to combine them with many different foods. Tuna with crackers is a common example. But you can also eat peanut butter with crackers or simply canned beans with a few crunchy pieces. Simple combinations like these make meals more pleasant instead of eating each item separately. Besides the psychological factor, crackers also offer a very practical advantage. Because the pieces are small and crunchy, you usually eat more slowly compared to eating directly from a can or pouch. This can help you control portions better in situations where food supplies need to be carefully stretched over several days. Crackers are also easy to store and do not take up much space in a storage cabinet. A single box can go with many different foods and help you create several small meals without complicated preparation. That is why many people who prepare for emergencies always keep a few boxes of crackers alongside foods like canned fish, peanut butter, or beans. However, even though crackers help create structure for a meal, there is another food that can do something very few items in the kitchen can do last for many years with almost no spoilage. And the interesting part is that many people already have it at home, but do not think of it as an important part of an emergency food supply. What food do you think is underrated but actually very useful when a crisis happens? 9. Canned fruit. After energy-dense foods like peanut butter, tuna, and crackers, the body sometimes needs something lighter and easier to eat. That is where canned fruit becomes surprisingly valuable in a survival food list. During long, stressful periods, many people lose their normal appetite. The body feels tired, the throat becomes dry, and chewing dry foods can start to feel uncomfortable. Canned fruit offers a completely different experience. It is soft, moist, and lightly sweet, which makes it easier for the body to accept, even when you are not truly hungry. One small detail many people overlook is the liquid inside the can. Whether it is syrup or natural fruit juice, it provides an extra source of fluid. In situations where water may be limited, some people even drink the liquid instead of throwing it away. Canned fruit also provides natural sugar, which acts as a quick source of energy. It is not the long-lasting fuel that fats or proteins provide, but it can help the body feel more alert when you are tired or under stress. At the same time, it still delivers some vitamins, especially vitamin C in fruits like peaches, pineapple, or oranges. But perhaps the biggest benefit of canned fruit is psychological. During difficult times, a food that tastes sweet and refreshing can help stabilize morale more than people expect. Sometimes just a few pieces of fruit can create the feeling that you are still having a normal meal, not simply trying to get through the day. For that reason, many people who prepare for emergencies keep several cans of fruit in their pantry. Not because it is the most critical item, but because it may be one of the easiest foods to eat when the body is exhausted. So what about you? If you had to store just one type of canned fruit, would you choose peaches, pineapple, or fruit cocktail? Share your choice in the comments. 8. Nuts. Sometimes in difficult situations, you do not have time for a full meal. You simply need something small, portable, and packed with enough energy to keep moving. That is exactly where nuts become extremely useful. Almonds, peanuts, or cashews may seem like ordinary snacks, but in reality, they are one of the most concentrated sources of energy you can carry with you. Inside a small handful is a powerful combination of healthy fats, protein, and important minerals. Even a small portion can deliver a surprising number of calories and help your body maintain energy for hours. One reason nuts are especially useful in emergency situations is their flexibility. You can eat them instantly, divide them into small portions, or carry them in your pocket while moving from place to place. There is no preparation required, no equipment needed, and they take up very little space in a backpack or storage shelf. That is why many people who prepare for emergencies always keep several bags of dry nuts in their home. And interestingly, under many videos about survival foods, viewers often share the same experience. One comment that received a lot of likes once said, "On every long trip I take, the one thing always in my backpack is not canned food, but a bag of almonds. It is small and light, but it can get you through an entire exhausting afternoon." Small details like this show that sometimes the simplest foods are the most practical when days become unpredictable. They are not complicated, but they are always ready when your body needs quick energy. But on this list, there is still another food that surprises many people even more. It not only provides energy, but it can also last for an incredibly long time with almost no spoilage. And chances are you already have it somewhere in your kitchen, without ever thinking of storing it for emergencies. The human body can survive several weeks without food, but only about 3 days without water. 7. Protein bars. In stressful situations, or when you have to move frequently, there is not always time to prepare a proper meal. That is when a small protein bar can become a very convenient source of energy. Many protein bars are designed to deliver quick fuel. On average, one bar contains around 180 to 220 calories and about 8 to 12 grams of protein. Those numbers may not sound huge, but in reality, they are enough to help your body keep functioning when you begin to feel tired or hungry. What matters even more is energy stability. During a crisis, the body often faces several pressures at the same time: lack of sleep, stress, and sometimes constant movement. When blood sugar drops too low, the body does not just feel weak. Your ability to think clearly and make decisions can also decline. A small but energy-dense snack can help maintain alertness during moments like that. Protein bars also have a very clear advantage in terms of convenience. They come pre-packaged, lightweight, and easy to store in a backpack, a car compartment, or a pantry shelf. When needed, you simply open the wrapper and eat. No preparation, no tools, and no time required. That is why many people keep a few protein bars in their emergency kits or in their vehicles. Not because they are a complete meal, but because they provide a quick way for the body to regain energy when fatigue begins to set in. But on this list, there is still another interesting food ahead. It is something many people assume must always be cooked before eating. Yet in reality, it can still be eaten even when there is no stove available. 6. Instant oats. When people think about oats, they usually imagine a warm bowl of oatmeal in the morning. But what many people do not realize is that instant oats can still be eaten even when you do not have a stove. By simply adding a little cold water and waiting about 15 to 20 minutes, the oats will slowly soften and become easy to eat. This method is often called cold soak oats, a technique commonly used by hikers and long-distance campers who do not always have access to cooking equipment. The reason oats are so useful in difficult situations comes down to the type of energy they provide. Unlike foods high in sugar that create a quick spike and crash, oats contain complex carbohydrates and fiber. These nutrients allow the body to absorb energy more slowly, helping you stay full and energized for a longer period of time. Oats are also extremely flexible. You can eat them on their own, or combine them with other foods on this list, such as nuts, peanut butter, or canned fruit, to create a simple but surprisingly balanced meal. Even a small bowl can provide steady fuel when the body needs it most. That is why many people who prepare for emergencies keep a supply of instant oats in their pantry. It is not a fancy food, but with just a little water and a bit of patience, it can become a reliable meal that supports the body when resources are limited. But there is still another food on this list that is even more unusual. It is something that can last for many years with almost no spoilage, and sometimes just one small spoonful can deliver a surprisingly large amount of energy. 5. Jerky. In many emergency food lists, jerky appears for a very simple reason. It is lightweight but packed with significant nutrition. Jerky is made by removing most of the moisture from fresh meat. Once the water is taken out, the weight drops dramatically, but key nutrients like protein remain concentrated. This means even a small portion of jerky can provide enough fuel and nutrients to help the body stay active for several hours. Another advantage is mobility. Jerky does not require refrigeration, does not need preparation, and is very easy to carry. A small bag in a backpack can provide a ready source of protein whenever you need it. That is why hikers, long-distance travelers, and people preparing for uncertain situations often include jerky as part of their food supply. However, jerky also has one characteristic worth noting. It usually contains a relatively high amount of salt and has a chewy texture. For that reason, many people prefer to eat it together with other foods to create a better balance. For example, pairing jerky with crackers, grains, or fruit can make the meal feel more comfortable and less intense in flavor. In addition, when eating foods with higher salt content, staying hydrated becomes especially important. Drinking enough water helps the body maintain balance and prevents the dry or tired feeling that can occur during long periods of activity. Because of its simplicity, durability, and convenience, jerky has become a familiar item in many emergency food kits. It may not be a fancy meal, but on days when cooking is not possible, or when you need to keep moving, a small portion of jerky can become one of the most valuable sources of protein you have. 4. Tortillas. When people think about stored foods, bread is usually the first thing that comes to mind. However, tortillas actually offer an interesting advantage. They often last longer and are more flexible in many situations. Tortillas are thin, soft, and relatively easy to store. They do not take up much space, and they are less likely to crumble while being carried. Because of this, they are often seen as a very convenient meal base when you need to prepare food quickly. What makes tortillas especially useful is their ability to combine with many different foods. With just a little tuna, beans, or peanut butter placed on top and rolled up, you instantly have a compact meal that is easy to hold and easy to eat. Simple wraps like this make eating far more convenient, especially when you do not have a table or proper utensils. Tortillas also help keep the different parts of a meal together. Instead of eating each item separately, you can wrap everything into a single portion. It may sound like a small detail, but during busy or stressful days, a meal that is clean, simple, and easy to handle can make a big difference. For that reason, many people preparing emergency food supplies add a few packs of tortillas to their list. They may not be the main food, but they act as the structure of a meal, allowing you to combine several other foods into something that feels complete and practical. 3. Canned soup in difficult situations. The body sometimes needs more than just food. It also needs moisture to stay balanced. That is one reason many people keep a few cans of soup in their emergency food supply. Unlike many other foods on this list, canned soup usually contains both solid ingredients and broth. This combination offers two benefits at the same time. It provides nutrients while also supplying extra liquid. When normal living conditions are disrupted or water becomes less available, foods that already contain moisture can become surprisingly valuable. Another advantage of soup is its soft and easy-to-eat texture. After many hours of work or travel, some people find dry foods uncomfortable to eat. A meal with a more liquid consistency is often gentler on the stomach and easier for the body to handle. Canned soup is also quite flexible. You can eat it on its own as a quick meal or combine it with other foods, such as tortillas or crackers, to create something more filling. This convenience is one reason soup has become a familiar item in many households, preparing for unexpected situations. It may not be a complicated dish, but even a small can of soup can provide a warm and fairly balanced meal, especially when circumstances around you are no longer ideal. Do you have any other food in your emergency pantry that we have not mentioned yet? 2. Canned beans among foods commonly stored for emergencies. Canned beans almost always appear on the list because of their well-balanced nutrition. Beans provide a combination of three important components: protein, carbohydrates, and fiber. Together, these nutrients help the body maintain energy for many hours. Protein supports muscle maintenance, carbohydrates provide fuel, and fiber helps keep the digestive system functioning steadily. Another advantage of canned beans is that they are already fully cooked. This means you can eat them immediately without complicated preparation. In situations where cooking is difficult or impossible, that convenience becomes extremely valuable. Beans are also easy to combine with other foods on this list. You can eat them on their own, pair them with tortillas or crackers, or even mix them with a pouch of tuna to create a simple but nutritious meal. When choosing canned beans for storage, many people prefer cans with pull-tab lids. This design allows the can to be opened quickly without needing a separate tool. A small detail, but very helpful when normal kitchen equipment is not available. Because of their convenience and balanced nutrition, canned beans have become a staple in many emergency food supplies. They may seem simple, but even one small can form the foundation of a surprisingly complete meal when it is needed most. If you had to choose 3 no-cook foods to keep in your home, which ones would you pick? Share your choices in the comments. 1. Ready-to-eat meals. In some situations, the most important thing is not collecting individual ingredients, but having a complete meal ready to use. That is why packaged ready-to-eat meals are often included in many emergency food lists. These meals are usually fully prepared in advance and sealed inside durable packaging. When the time comes, you simply open the package and eat, without needing to cook or assemble multiple ingredients. This level of convenience becomes extremely valuable during moments when everything is moving quickly and there is little time to organize a meal. Another important feature is that many packaged meals are designed to provide multiple types of nutrition at once. Inside a single portion, you will often find a balance of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Together, these nutrients create a fairly complete source of energy to help the body continue functioning when you are tired or trying to recover your strength. These meals are also practical for storage and transport. They are tightly sealed, compact, and easy to organize inside a backpack, vehicle, or pantry shelf. For people who want the option of a quick, reliable meal during uncertain situations, they can be a very practical addition to a food supply. Of course, it is not necessary to rely entirely on packaged meals. But when time, conditions, or resources are limited, having one complete meal ready to go can make things far simpler. Looking back at the entire list, one interesting detail stands out. Most of these foods are not rare or expensive. They are simply familiar items that can be found in almost any supermarket. However, when stored properly and combined thoughtfully, these everyday foods can become a reliable reserve that helps you get through uncertain periods of life. One important rule: food helps you stay active. But water is what ultimately determines how long you can survive. A common guideline is to prepare at least 1 gallon of water per person per day. If possible, storing enough water for at least 2 weeks can provide a much stronger level of preparedness. In a real crisis, the calmest person is often not the bravest one. They are simply the person who prepared ahead of time. When the power goes out, store shelves become empty, or cooking suddenly becomes difficult. Your body still needs energy to keep going. And in those moments, simple foods that can be eaten immediately often become extremely important. Because when the systems we rely on pause or break down, the simplest solutions are usually the most effective ones. That is why when preparing a food supply, it helps not to think only about meals that require a stove. It is also important to keep some foods that can still be used even when cooking is no longer easy. Because in an unexpected situation, the familiar stove in your kitchen might suddenly become nothing more than a cold piece of metal in the corner of the room. And sometimes, the simple foods you prepare today are the very things that help you and your family get through difficult days. By the way, I am curious about one thing. From this list, which food do you think is the most important to always have at home? Share your answer in the comments.